Hello baseball fans, welcome back to another video, and today's video is going to be a news video. Tomorrow's will be a predictions on divisions again, but today we're going to hop back into the news as there have been some trades and free agent signings in the past couple of days that I'd like to hop into. So let's start with the Orioles. The Orioles have made two different moves over the past few days since before the new year started and after. The Orioles, as recent, have given away Tyler Nevin to the Detroit Tigers. Tyler Nevin last year, he didn't play a ton as he was overtaken a bit by Brandon Odor at third, but he had his moments where he would come in for a few games here and there to play, as Odor would either need a break or if he got injured for a few days. Nevin didn't do all that bad. He didn't have the greatest defense or offense. He was about an average player, but he has been traded to the Tigers for cash considerations. Now, I'd like to say this is a good move by the Tigers, but at the same time, I can't really say this is a good move anymore, as the Tigers have given up so much this year between Candelario, and they just really let go of some key players. All they really have is Javi Baez. I mean, Nevin isn't a bad move to get, because he isn't the worst ball player at all, but he's not the greatest. But it isn't really a good move either, and looking at what they have given up, Tyler Nevin is not going to be the guy to come in and replace that. He fills a temporary hole that needs to get filled with a bigger name, and this just isn't the answer. The Orioles, though, have recently, as of today or yesterday, acquired Ryan O'Hearn from the Royals for cash considerations. O'Hearn did not do the greatest for the Orioles last year. He can play first base, he can play outfield, and O'Hearn is a versatile player, which makes him good for the Orioles, as he can fill in that spot at first if need be, especially the hole that Trey Mancini left, or a spot in the outfield. O'Hearn last year, he had a batting average of .239 with 1 home run, 16 RBIs, and an OPS of .611. He was DFA'd or designated for assignment by the Royals on December 28th, hence why he was going to get traded soon, as he did not perform too well for the Royals last year, obviously. Orioles and Royals sounds so similar. So overall, he doesn't have the greatest contact and really no power at all. But at the same time, I could see him having a potential bounce back for the Orioles. And if the Orioles keep him up in the majors compared to the minors and give him a chance, at least I think it could go well overall for them, as well as filling in that first hole spot, which is a necessity for them at the moment. Next, a little bit of a Yankees guy last year. He was one of the very versatile substitutes who could play almost anywhere, whether it was the outfield or the infield. Marwin Gonzalez. Marwin Gonzalez is not in America anymore. He's not in the MLB. Marwin Gonzalez is now going over to Japan with the Oryx Buffaloes. Yes, he is no longer playing in America, and I don't see this as a bad thing. He wasn't the best for the Yankees last year. He was just a substitute. He didn't really start at all unless guys were out injured. He never really played for anybody well in the past either, between the Red Sox and other teams he was on. I think potentially the Astros. I'm not too sure on that. But Marwin, he was just a versatile substitute, and it's not really a major loss for any team who was trying to get him. So I don't really see this as a major signing, but just a signing that kind of just happened like a little bit off the charts. Next we have Dom Smith. The former Met has signed a 1-year deal to division rival the Nationals. He signed a $2 million deal with $2 million more up for grabs with performance bonuses. Now, Dom Smith did not have the greatest of years. He batted .194, which is very poor contact. He only had 58 at-bats, which is just a very small sample size, but he obviously just didn't either got injured or just had a horrendous year overall and just really never got a shot. He had no home runs at all. He had 17 RBIs with a .560 OPS. All of that is below league average. There's really nothing to it. He didn't have a good year at all. There's no wonder why the Mets didn't want to try and re-sign him. No wonder why he signed with the Nationals. I mean, I understand the Nationals are a bad team and all, and they're signing Dom Smith, so I don't understand why they're bringing in a bad player. In my opinion, he's bad because obviously all his stats are below average, but at the same time, the Nationals, who need to get better, are signing a below-average player. I don't understand this move. I don't know why the Nationals are doing it. It just looks like they're tanking, going to have an awful season like they did again last season. I think they're just trying to race to see who can be worse, the A's or the Nationals. I don't really know at this point. and it's not looking any better. So I'm sorry to you Nationals fans out there, but you guys are just not going to do well at all. To move on, we have a lot of Yankees news to cover today. So the Yankees have just signed Brian Sabine. I think that's how you pronounce it. But he was the former Giants general manager, and he is now Brian Cashman's wingman. He is signed as an executive advisor to Brian Cashman and will be working alongside him to look at signings and help him with stuff. And I think that's phenomenal because we need a guy who else has an input. He's done some great things in the past, and in my opinion, I could see this going really well overall. And he seems like he communicates really well with other teams. And coming from a team like the Giants, who seemed like they were doing pretty good and all, I don't think this is bad at all. On the other hand, the Yankees have also signed 3 outfielders. They have signed Rafael Ortega to a minor league deal. They signed Billy McKinley to a minor league deal. And they signed Willie Calhoun to a minor league deal. 3 not really, 3 not the greatest signings, but it's adding depth. And I think this is going to go one of 2 ways. Either, first of all, we're getting these 3 outfielders in order to have in the minor leagues for depth, especially a guy, former top prospect Willie Calhoun, who was on the Dodgers as a top prospect. But at the same time, I could also see them being potential trade pieces. A trade to a team perhaps such as the Pirates for Brian Reynolds, a team to the Cubs for Ian Happ, or the Twins for Max Kepler. All of these 3 guys can be definitely used in multiple ways, whether it's insurance and depth in case we can't get the left fielder that we need if Hicks were to get injured or to replace Hicks, or, in my opinion, as trade depth and pieces that we can use to move if need be, and instead of other guys like Jason Dominguez, who's much more valuable, in my opinion, than any of these guys, maybe except Willie Calhoun, who, in my opinion, could perform well at the major level. Especially Jason Dominguez once he's ready, but more Willie Calhoun right now as we've seen what he can do. He didn't do the best, but obviously he just needs a little bit more time. Lastly, I'm going to have a video on going into more depth on all these players, but this is my ideal Yankees lineup going into the 2023 opening day. And this isn't if it were going to start tomorrow. This is like the end of the offseason, what I think the Yankees should have done and what should happen. So I think leading off should be DJ LeMahieu once he's back and healthy playing second base. And I'm really hoping he's back and healthy. Yeah, this would be very ideal. But DJ LeMahieu, who's a solid contact guy, one of the best on the Yankees for it, and doesn't have a ton of power, but has that ability to just hit the ball anywhere and just put him on base. So I think he's a great leadoff guy. Second, you could switch him with LeMahieu. I have Harrison Bader playing center field. Bader, he's phenomenal, and he's super fast guy too. Great guy for second or leadoff if need be. Good contacts. He got injured for part of the last year, so he couldn't play the full regular season. So I don't know exactly what he can do, and we haven't seen regular season Bader for the Yankees, but seeing as what he did in the postseason, I think this could go very well for them. Hitting third and playing first, I have Anthony Rizzo. Rizzo has a good amount of power, decent contacts, not the best though in the regular season last year, but Rizzo was mostly our number 3 guy unless it were Judge last year. So putting him back at that 3 spot could be really good. At 4, I have Judge at right field. I mean, you can't really not have Judge in this lineup, especially after what he did last year. I mean, he had such a bad year last year, it's not even funny. Yeah, I'm kidding, obviously. But Judge was just out of this world, and having him at the 4 spot to be that cleanup guy would be great. And at the 5, as a second cleanup guy going back-to-back, I have Giancarlo Stanton at the DH. Another guy you really can't not have in the lineup, amazing power, was injured for part of the year last year. So having him back and hopefully for a full season will really help and contribute to the team. At third base, I have Oswaldo Peraza starting. And yes, I want the Yankees to bring up 2 prospects for this lineup, as this would be amazing. He's hitting at the 6th spot because I'd like to just see what he can do. I don't see him going to the front of the lineup, but I don't see him as a bad hitter, so I'm not going to put him completely back. And therefore, at the number 7 spot, I have Anthony Volpe playing shortstop. In this lineup, I would have given away Josh Donaldson and IKF at this point, possibly Gleyber Torres. But I have Anthony Volpe here as we can finally give the kid a chance to have his shot up in the majors and seeing as what he did in the minors last year, I think this would be great. And having him at the 7th spot wouldn't put too much pressure on him, but it would put just enough to maybe get him to keep going and keep him on edge, which would be great. At the 8th spot, I actually have Brian Reynolds. And I only have Reynolds at 8, not because he's a bad hitter towards the back of the lineup, but because we're so front loaded with at the front of the lineup. I think having an 8 guy who is a switch hitter, very versatile, and decent contact and great power could be great anywhere as that power and contact guy in the back of the lineup. And I could see him really being that setup guy in case we were to go back to the front of the lineup to set up the number 9 spot and number 1 spot again. I could see him being that cleanup guy for the 6 and 7 spot or the 5 if need be. So I think putting him at 8 makes a lot of sense, especially with what we can have at the front. And at 9, obviously, I have Jose Trevino at catcher. He's the best framer in all of baseball, Platinum Glove winner, and I cannot ask for anything more in a defensive catcher. He did produce really well on offense in the first half, and the second half he kind of slumped in the postseason, but in my opinion, Jose Trevino, phenomenal ball player, should be hitting 9th and starting in this lineup. But that is all for the video today, guys. Please comment your reactions, your thoughts, and any feedback you have for me. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you all tomorrow and in the next video. Thank you.